All right. So I want to show you 2 points. I want to finish up Bereishis. That tomorrow we'll start Noach. I don't know what's Wednesday is the trip. Wednesday is the trip. Huh?
Yeah.
Wednesday. Okay. So we'll try Thursday. Tuesday, Thursday we'll do Parshas Noach. Okay. So if you look at, I don't think so. I don't think so. Where are you going? Oh, right. No. No. And the answer is no. Page 4. Yeah. Well, you send it over to the house. Make me a shawarma. No, I'm not vegan. I just can't watch animals being slaughtered. What's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it. We need to do it in order to be able to eat them, so there's nothing wrong with it. What's wrong with it is that I can't watch it because I would pass out, and that there is something wrong with. Okay. When I've been a sandik at various brisses, grandchildren, my eyes are closed from the minute he puts the baby in my lap until I know for a fact that the baby is wrapped up and ready to go. And I even tell the guy, is he finished? One time, I remember one guy said to me, yeah, you could open your eyes now, and he still, the diaper wasn't on. So that was, it's either me or the baby. So the two, one Rav said to me he admired my kavana. He thought I had intense kavana while I was being, kavana was nothing. It was like closing your eyes before you jump out of an airplane. There was no kavana, nothing. One kavana is that I don't pass out. See, Sam, what'd I tell you? What'd I tell you? Welcome to the club. This is what we've been putting up with. And that's why I'm a Kansas City fan.
So sorry.
Yeah, you're not sorry. And my only consolation was I know you'd be aggravated too.
Yeah,
You see how creative they are and how you can figure out how to lose a game?
They love to lose.
Did you watch it? Did you see game? I didn't even see it. I didn't see it. I just saw it. Good. Both times. Both mishaps. Yeah, Chicago Bears. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. That's why I'm a Kansas City fan. Now, retroactive to 3 years ago. I get to do that. When you're a rabbi, you get to be retroactive. Lima Freya. Okay. And page 4, Pasuk Ches. Says, Vayikra Elokim l'rakia Shemayim. Hashem called the heavens Shemayim. And Rashi then says, it's on page 4, right column, 5 lines from the bottom. Page 4, right column in Rashi, 5 lines from the bottom. Shamayim, Rashi says, Sa-mayim. It could be read as Samayim, that it carries the water, like the heavens carry the water. And it could also be read as Sham-mayim. That's where the water is. Shamayim, if you say it slowly, Sham-mayim, that's where the water is. Eish umayim, and it's fire and water. Shamayim eish, the shin sounds like a fire. She'irvan zeba zev asamim shamayim. Hashem mixed fire and water and made the heavens. Now, okay, what is it? If we'd be interplanetary explorers, so we need to know that of how to build our spaceship. Why are you telling us that? And it's interesting, by the way, when you think about where's the fire, right? When they come back into the atmosphere, it gets hot, right? It's just interesting. Fire. We think of fire as just fire is. You see, flames of fire shoot out, but you know that in space, that's one of the things that they got to be careful for when the insulation comes off. That's when what do you call it? That's what causes it to blow up, because or to whatever to disintegrate. So the what do you call it? You don't have to have your microphone with you, do you? Don't go get it. Don't go get it. We got it. No, don't go get it. No, don't worry about me. I'll be okay. Don't worry. You just say, yeah, no, you just sit. Just so you don't worry about me. We'll maybe. Don't worry. No, I'm just kidding. I'm giving you a hard time. So what does the Torah want here? What's the Torah telling us? Eshu mayim, fire and water mixed together. So I think as Rav Moshe Feinstein says, the Torah is teaching us that it's not just telling us physical realities. The Torah is teaching you that the most opposite things in the world are fire and water. That's why men are water, women are fire. And they're the most opposite things in the world. And the Torah is teaching that we sometimes have to serve God with opposite traits. You have to sometimes activate, for example, sometimes you have to be patient, and sometimes you have to push. Sometimes you have to be patient with people. Sometimes you have to be aggressive with people, and you have to know how to turn it on and how to turn it off. Sometimes sometimes you have to be calm. Most of the time you have to be calm. Sometimes you got to get very, very excited. So the Torah is teaching you that it's not easy. You know, it's an uneasy job to be a human being because you got to turn it. You got to know when to turn it on and when to turn it off. You may be a person who's got enough self-esteem that you don't need to be complimented, but there are other people around you who thrive on compliments, and therefore it's your job to compliment. Actually, I saw a Zohar, frightening Zohar that I just saw recently. The Zohar says, you know, everybody knows tsaras, which is the Torah form of leprosy. What does it come from? What's the most common cause of getting leprosy, tsaras? What's the most common cause? Lashon hara, right? Inappropriate speech. There's actually a source in the Zohar that says that if you're thinking something good about somebody and you don't say it, you can also get leprosy. And we have a policy at home. We have a policy, if you're thinking something, say it. I mean, if you're thinking something good, say it. Something bad, don't say it. Did your mothers ever tell you, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it? Did you ever hear mother? That you learn in mother school. That's what they teach all mothers. If you have something nice to say, don't say it. Fathers, they have a different thing. Fathers are something like, because I said so. That's what they learn at father school. Or, doesn't anyone around here turn off the lights except me? That they teach in father school. In mother school, it's like, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. And do it with a smile.
It was the opposite in my house.
What the father said
My
there?
dad would say, if you have anything nice to say, don't say it. And my mom was saying, because I said so.
Because I said, whoa, all right, I ain't going to go there. But I was once giving a talk to some women. I was once giving a talk to a ladies group. So I said, you know, it's funny, man starts yelling, a man starts hollering in the house, and the wife goes over and closes the windows. And some lady goes, oh, in my house, it's not like that. I yell, my husband closes the windows. I go, okay, are you bragging? You know, why are you telling us this? So that's the first thing. The second thing, as we spoke yesterday, we ended off with the stars, that the sun, the moon, and the stars, that Hashem gave the stars to the moon. And we had mentioned that the way that appeases the moon is because now the moon sees that there's somebody in the world who's lesser than them. You know, sometimes in life, just knowing that there's somebody, if you're struggling financially and you're looking at the people at the haves, instead of looking at the haves, look at the have-nots. And that'll, well, you know, however rough things are for us, but it's, you know, it's worse for them. And sometimes that, because we're human beings, so sometimes that appeases us. But I saw a beautiful explanation. One commentary says the reason the stars are there, the Jewish people are compared to stars. Klal Yisrael is compared to stars. Hashem says to Avraham Avinu, your descendants are going to be more multitudinous than the stars. I mean, between me and you, if I think of a lot, I think of sand on the sea. I think if you think of it, well, there are a lot of stars out there, but there's a lot of sand on the seashore. And the Jewish people are compared to dirt as well. But there, the comparison to stars is that the whole creation of stars, why were they created? Why were stars brought into existence? To help that the moon shouldn't feel bad. And therefore, Klal Yisrael is compared to stars. Our job in life is to make sure that those around us don't feel bad. They feel good. Our career is to try to pick people up, not to push people down. That's the comparison to stars. Okay. Now take a look at Pasuk Chav Vav. Skip all the way to Pasuk Chav Vav. It's on page 8. Vayomer Elokim, top line. Vayomer Elokim, Nasa Adam B'Tzalmeinu Kidbuseda. Let's make a man in our image, in our likeness. V'yirdu b'Gasa Yamav Ofa Shamayim. They'll control the fish and the birds. Uba behemo v'chol ha'oretz v'chol ha'remes ha'rometz ha'aretz. So this is the famous expression, let us make man. And there's a lot of commentary on this, let us make man. Rashi says, well, you know, let us make man sounds like that God has partners up there. So aren't we worried that people will read this pasuk and they'll turn into heretics? Aren't we worried that somebody's going to say, oh, wow, NASA, let us make man? Oy, there must be more than one upstairs. Aren't we worried about that? And the answer is, no, we're not worried about it. Why? Because anybody who wants to be intellect, first of all, later on it says God created, so you see that he was alone. But number two, the Torah, so why did it say it? Why did it say it in the plural? Let us make man. Says the Rashi, the Torah, what's that? The Torah is teaching us proper derech eretz. The Torah is teaching us proper behavior, proper Torah etiquette, which is that the one who's a little high, the higher ups should consult with the lower people. That God is as if he's consulting with the angels, as if he's consulting with them. And I know that I know like at one yeshiva, for example, there's a certain Rosh Yeshiva, when he wants me to do something, he doesn't tell me to do something. He says, would it be okay with you if you gave a shear on this and this day? He's not asking me, he's telling me. But proper derech eretz is proper etiquette is you ask a person. I know he's not asking me, and he knows that I know he's not asking me. It's not like I have a choice. But that's the way you talk to people. So the Torah says, it's like the boss consults with the workers. I'm not talking about a bunch of yes men. If you're smart and you're working with the boss, you always agree with the boss and you let him beat you at golf. But at the end of the day, there's proper Torah derech eretz, proper etiquette. Proper etiquette says, let us make man. Is it a good idea to make man? Yeah, boss, yeah. What about the fact that somebody might read this and become a heretic? The answer is, do you know a lot of cheder children who became heretics? When do people learn this pasuk? When do people learn this pasuk the first time? When you're 5 years old, 6 years old. A lot of 5-year-olds, there aren't great 5 and 6 year old philosophers who are looking, let us make man, therefore I'm not going to become from. When later on in life, when they're looking for an excuse, because they're being controlled by their various desires and they're looking for the intellectual excuse that they could offer for why they're behaving like monkeys. So then they say, look at that. Oh yeah, now all of a sudden that bothers you. It's like the old guy. Have you ever met one of these old guys? You will, if you haven't, you will. Especially when you go back home and you got a yarmulke on and you're going to meet one of these old guys who's going to come up to you and say, Sam, you know why I ain't religious? I'll tell you why I ain't religious. You know what? When I was a little boy, I was in cheder. And the rabbi, he walked over and he slapped one of the kids, and I says to myself, Max, if that's how a religious man could behave, then I ain't going to be religious. That means he made his intellectual decision when he was 7 years old for the rest of his life. And the fact that he's seen people who are not religious slap people and misbehave, that's okay. So that just becomes the, you're going to meet one of these guys, by the way. They're always zeroing in. If you come back and you're the yeshiva guy, they're gunning for you because you're their conscience. So they got to explain to you why I ain't religious. So they're going to be they're looking for you. Says the Torah, Na'aseh Adam b'tzalmenu, number one. Number two, look at the word Adam, gentlemen. Adam. I'll tell you something incredible about Adam, because it's going to come back to haunt us later. If you rearrange the letters of Adam, Aleph, Daled, Mem, forget the fact that the Mem suffix, you get the word me'od, which is very much. Me'od. Very much. What's the connection? What's that got to do with Adam? Very much. What does very much mean?
There's a lot of men.
What's that?
There's a lot.
A lot of people? There are. Certainly in India. There are a lot of people, right? But, okay. But what else? This is the first one. There's only one of them around right now. Me'od means that man has very much potential. Me'od. Adam has me'od. How much? Doesn't say. Doesn't say how much potential. Just says me'od. Just says you got a lot. Number one. Number two, Adam breaks into Aleph. What does Aleph mean? Do you know that in Hebrew, in the Israeli army, a general is called an aluf, which is from the word Aleph, which means number one, the first one on the list. So Adam is made up of two words. Aleph, he's a general. Dam is what? Blood. That means that a human being is, the passions and the energy comes from the blood. Our job is to be in control, like a general is in control, to be Aleph on the dam, that we are in control of our passions, that passions don't control us. But the me'od means he's very much. Adam is very much. There's very much of him. Now, what does it mean, not very much of him? There's very much potential for every human being. And it doesn't tell us how much potential because we don't know our potential. That's when you read Holocaust books and you see people in the Holocaust who managed to sneak in tefillin and to daven and to learn and do all sorts of mitzvahs under the worst circumstances. And those people, if you would have asked them before the war, if you were in a situation where you are risking your life to put on tefillin, would you do it? Most people, I don't know. I've never been in that situation. But it's amazing. It's amazing what a person could achieve when he's in a desperate situation. It's amazing what a person could achieve when he's up against the wall. We don't know what our potential is. We simply don't know what our potential is. Alan, what were you going to ask?
Why does Hashem want to or need to consult?
He doesn't have to. That's exactly what the Torah is teaching you. The Torah is teaching you to teach us derech eretz, to teach us proper behavior. That you consult. You don't just say I made my decision already. I say, is everybody okay? Is everybody okay if we don't go tomorrow to the zoo? Is everybody okay if we don't go to the zoo tomorrow? Now, I made a decision already, and if you know me well enough, you know that I made the decision because I'm the boss. We're not going to the zoo. But the way you talk is you talk the Torah to you. What about the risk that somebody, it's worth that minimal risk in order to teach us how to behave with proper Torah derech eretz. For example, I tell you, you don't walk into a room. It's Torah derech eretz. You don't walk into a room without knocking on a door, even your own home. Go barging into a room. You don't open a door because maybe somebody's doing something embarrassing behind the door. Some guy's picking his nose, and you happen to open the oops, that's awkward. Or you walk in. I once read a book though when I was about 17. I read a book. It was called Power: How to Get It and How to Keep It. And this book was like the antithesis of the Mesilas Yesharim. It was every bad midah known to man. So the only thing I remember from the book is he says like if you're a salesman, you're trying to push a product, so you have an appointment with the head of a company. So what you do is you walk right past the receptionist and then just open the door of the office. If you catch the head of the company doing something awkward, he'll be so uncomfortable, he'll just want to get rid of you, so he'll just buy your product. Maybe either that or he'll sick the dog on you. I've never tried it. Well, not too often anyway. But at the end of the day, it's proper that you knock on a door. Your own home, you knock on a door. If you ever see a door closed in any room, knock before entering. You don't know what's going on behind a closed door. That's proper Torah derech eretz. Proper Torah derech eretz, you don't look at someone's face when they're eating. If you're talking to somebody, if you're sitting at the table eating, so I don't know if they cancel out. I don't know if the eatings offset each other, offsetting penalties. But I don't know. But if you're talking to somebody who's eating, you don't look at his face when he's eating. It is impolite to look at somebody's face, and so on and so forth. So that's part of Torah derech eretz. Now, what does it mean, B'tzalmeinu kidmusenu? Let us create man in our image, considering that God obviously doesn't have any physical image. So what does it mean to create man in God's image? What's the most standard answer for that? Anybody know? You never thought about that? Let's create man in our image. What does that mean? Image of God. The answer, the basic answer that's given is God's a creator. And we also create. How do we create? Avi, you mentioned it before. How do we create? With our free choice. That's a form of creation. I have a choice. I could do this or do that. What I choose to do is human creation. Not building things and making stuff. The choice that I'm making, that's a form of human creation. But I saw one of the Mefarshim, he says something a little more difficult. God, do you know that tshuva was created before the world was created? Tshuva is one of the things that was created before the world was created. 7 things were created before the world was created. Tshuva, Torah, Gehenna, Gan Eden, what do you call it? 3 other things that were created before the door. One of them is tshuva. That means you can sin, but if you do tshuva, God forgives you. How logical that is? Not sure. I mean, why do you deserve to be let off? I mean, you messed up. Why should you be let off? But that's a fact. There is something called, if you do tshuva, God forgives you. The only sin or misdeed God doesn't forgive is what? What doesn't God forgive? Man to fellow man. Let's back up for a second. If you do something wrong to another person, you have 2 aspects of tshuva. Number 1, you have to do tshuva to God because you went against the Torah by hurting another person. So you have to do tshuva because every time you hurt another person, you're going against God's word. But you also have to ask that person for forgiveness. And unless you ask and get forgiveness from the person, God doesn't forgive that. That doesn't get wiped off the slate. Now, what if you're the person who's being asked to forgive? One of the hardest things in life. I forgive all the people who did something wrong to me as long as it wasn't too bad. The people I'm really upset about, forget about it. That's it. That's usually how it works. On Yom Kippur, I forgive everybody. Yeah, but not that guy. He really messed me over. No. That's the guy I meant to forgive. He's the guy who should be apologizing. He's the guy that I meant to forgive. So we do have that ability to emulate God. That's what I mean. It's hard. to really get it out of our heart when somebody has hurt you bad, somebody's done something wrong that's really messed you up, and you overcome the natural inclination, which is to not forgive, to hang on to it. In Hebrew, they have an expression, ani soleach aval ani lo shocheach. I forgive, but I don't forget. If you don't forget, that means you don't forgive. In Hebrew, it sounds good because it rhymes. That's why they say, ani soleach aval ani lo shocheach. That means you don't really forgive. If you really forgive, you forget about it. And so we can have a chance to be in the image of God. That would be a high level of emulating God, is that a person get a point of forgiving. Okay, now, Pasuk Lamed Aleph. I'm going to hit you with a good one. Bottom of page 8. Vayar Elokim es kol asher asav hinei tov meod. God sees everything he did is very good. Vayar vayivoker yom hashishi. So evening, it was morning, Yom HaShishi, it's the sixth day. Some say, according to one source, it refers to the sixth day of Sivan, which is the day the Torah was given. Vav Sivan. And that if the Jewish people wouldn't have accepted the Torah on the 6th of Sivan, the world would have ceased to exist. And that's alluded to by the Yom HaShishi. Okay, now, number 2, Vahi Erev Vayivoker. How do Jews count the day? When does the day start for Jews? That starts at night. Day starts at night. Yom Kippur started at night, then it follows the day. When does Shabbos come for the Jews? Shabbos comes at the end of the week. You have the week and then you have Shabbos. By the Goyim, it's the opposite. The day starts when? In the morning. Doesn't end until the next morning. The day starts first, day, then night. For the Goyim, the day starts in the morning. And not only that, when is their Sabbath? Sunday. Sunday. And then you got the rest till the rest of the week. By us, you got the week and then you got the Shabbos. By Muslims, it's Friday. By Muslims, it's Friday. I don't know how that works. But by us, by us, I don't know if that's the far beginning of the week, the end of the week, the start of the new week. I don't know. I'm not sure. Thank Allah, it's Friday. But I'm not sure how that works. But the idea is that night always represents ordeals, challenges, and things are good. Nighttime, darkness, life looks dark right now. Daytime, things are always good. By the Goyim, it starts good, but then it's going to deteriorate. It starts with their Sabbath, and then it deteriorates. It starts with daylight, and then it deteriorates into night. By the Jews, it's going to always be the opposite. Vahi Erev, Vahi Boker. We start with night, and eventually things are going to be good for us. And we start with the week, and then eventually it gets to Shabbos. So by us, it's an upward climb. By them, it's a downward spiral. That's the Vahi Erev, Vahi Boker. Now, I want to ask you a question. There's a Medrash. Listen to what the Medrash says. The Medrash says, on this pasuk, let me read you the words. It says, Vihine Tov Meod. Now listen to this Medrash. The Medrash says, Tov is the Yetzer Tov. Me'od is the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. That's what the Medrash says. So I understand why Tov is the Yetzer Tov. It's good. He's the hero, the cowboy in white, right? Tov is the Yetzer Tov. Why is Me'od the Yetzer Hara? Me'od. Because what?
Because it's a lot, pretty much.
And therefore what?
Consumption and like all these things, like it's too much. Like you're going for a lot of it.
You're going for a lot of stuff, right? Okay, could be. Not bad. Could be. Now, let me ask you a question. I like your answer. Your answer could very well be. Let me ask you a question. You get an idea to, let's say, visit an old lady in the nursing home. You have an idea. I think right after lunch I go to a nursing home and visit a little old lady. And you're not sure if you should or shouldn't. How much persistence of thought is there in doing that good deed? How persistent is it in you about doing that good deed? A lot? Oh, you're probably a better good deeder than I am. Usually when it comes to a good deed, it's like, all right, I ought to do this, yeah, maybe, next thing you're onto something else. You get the thought once, twice, 3 times, you'll roll it around a little bit. Eventually, either you'll do it, you may do it. Sometimes we do good things. And sometimes we just kind of disregard it. Something came up. I found out there's a wedding. There's a good movie I want to see. I'll do the nursing home tomorrow. You find out something will distract you. What about when it comes to doing something bad? How persistent is that thought? Me'od. That's the Yetzer Hara. I mean, if you stop and think about it, it's not balanced. It really isn't balanced. My Yetzer Tov says to get up and get out of bed in the morning and go daven. And he says it to me once or twice. By the third time, I've already pushed the snooze button. The Yetzer has to stay in bed. No, I really should get up, stay in bed. I'm telling you, stay in bed, kid. You're tired. You need it. After all, you got a big day ahead of you. You got a lot of learning. Who's more persistent? The Yetzer Hara is clearly more persistent. Therefore, the Yetzer Hara, the Medrash says the Yetzer Hara is Ma'od. Now, watch this. Okay, here we go. Take a look at Pasuk Yud Ches. Here starts the trouble. Perek Beis, Pasuk Yud Ches. So God creates man. And then, on page 12, 5 lines from the bottom. V'yomer Hashem Elokim lo tov heyoseh adam levado. Not good for man to be alone. Es lo ezer kenegdo. I will make a helpmate against him. You hear a contradiction there? I will make a helpmate against him. If it's somebody to help you, it should be against you. Why is it against him? How do the arts go translated? Opposite him? Corresponding. Ooh, that's soft. Yeah, I'll make a help corresponding to him. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's obviously whoever translated never gave their wife the credit card. But okay. I'll make a helpmate a corresponding to it. Now take a look at Rashi here. So Rashi says it's the left column, top line. Third line. Ezer kenegdo, left column on page 12, third line from the top. First 2 words. Ezer kenegdo. Says Rashi, quoting the Gemara, Zacha, if a man merits it, Ezer, she helps him. Lo Zacha, if he does not merit, kenegdo, she's against him, lihilachem, to wage war, to wage battle. Now, the first thing you have to know here is that correspond is a good translation. Correspond is a good translation because what she really is a counterbalance. You will find, gentlemen, that when you get married, the person that you marry or that you intend to marry, you'll probably notice this even before you married, you will notice that in certain ways you're exactly alike. Girls like that. Oh, really? What's your favorite music? What's your favorite group? The Beatles. Oh, mine too. Okay. She'll marry you based on that. That's all it takes. What's your favorite candy bar? Baby Ruth. I don't believe it. That's it. And she'll put her life in your hands based on that. I'm telling you, that's how they work. Sometimes. They love that. The things that were exactly alike. But you're also going to, because they say likes attract and opposites attract. How does it work? Which one is it? The answer is there's a combination. There's a combination. In certain ways, this person is going to be exactly like you. You got to be a mirror image. You got to be exactly like you. In certain ways, this person is going to be the most opposite thing that you've ever met in your life. Your attitude towards certain things, it could be your attitude towards money. Your attitude is spend and her attitude is to save. Your attitude is to save, her attitude is to spend. Your attitude, you like the house cold, she likes it hot. That almost all married couples have that. Somebody once said, no married couple is thermally compatible. One is always boiling hot, the other is extremely cold. It's not even in the middle. It's not even close. He walks around with shirt sleeves, she's got a parka on. So you're going to find in various attitudes. What about rules? Here's a classic. What about breaking rules? You do break rules or you don't break rules? You cut corners or you don't? For some people, my attitude is rules are nothing more than suggestions. And they're made to be broken. Other people feel like the one you marry, hey, it's a rule. Well, I learned this, by the way. I learned this before I got married. We were walking together, we were engaged, and we're walking in Geula. There was a side street, at 1 a.m, there's a side street probably as wide as this table. And there's a red light. There's a car in sight. There's a human being in sight. So I started walking. And all of a sudden I hear a voice. Where are you going? I said, I'm crossing the street, but the light's red. Yeah, but no cars around, but the light's red. Yeah, but nobody sees, the light's red. And up until that point in my life, I would, red. I don't see any red lights. And all of a sudden, you change. So kenegdo means you need that counterbalance, because what your strength may be, whatever your strength is, your strength may be a little too extreme. So you need the counterbalance so that it is modified in a way where it becomes more productive. That's number one. Number two, kenegdo means she just may try to get you upset. She just thinks that does things like you said. And if that happens, it's your fault, not hers. How do I know? Because Rashi says it. Zacha, if you merited it, she's Azer. She helps you. Lo zacha, if you don't marry. Why don't you marry? Because you're not treating her right. If you would treat her right, you wouldn't have that problem. If she's not treating you, I just had a phone call yesterday. There's a phone call yesterday from somebody called me up to find out he's having some sholem bayis issues. And he asked me, because in my book I wrote that 99% of the problems in marriage is because of men, which is true. So he said to me, what about this situation? I said, listen, you're coming in the middle of the game. She's not behaving the way you want her to behave, but I don't know what happened before that. Chances are, if she's at that point, it's because you didn't treat her well up until that point. That's what happened. That's why things went off. It's your fault. Had you, the Gemara says, Ova kagufa, you have to love your wife as much as yourself. Umechabda yoser migufa, you have to respect her more than yourself. Is that interesting? And by the way, respect means spend money on her. Respect means spend. Respect doesn't just mean, oh, you look so nice today. Respect means you got to spend money on her. The Gemara says you have to spend more on your wife and your children than you could afford, and less on yourself. That's what the Gemara says. And if you're respecting her, the Gemara says you have to love her as much as yourself. Why? There's a lack of symmetry here. When it comes to love, I have to love her as much as myself. Why? Because we all love ourselves. So if I treat her, if I take care of her material needs the way to take care of mine, I'll be doing very well, because we all treat ourselves well. But what about respect? Men don't need the kind of respect women need. You could talk to your friend, you can sit back to back talking to your friend. Sit like this. You're crazy. And you say things like, you're talking to a friend watching it. What do you think of that? Oh, you're crazy. No, you're wrong. And that's how and you're best friends. When you talk to a wife, watch women talk to each other. Watch how women talk to each other. They always lock eyes when they talk to each other. They're like this. And they even turn their heads in sync. Really? Oh yeah, me too. That's how they communicate. And then what happens is you take one of each species and you put them in a cage. And now your wife is saying, you're not listening. I heard every word you said. You're not listening with your eyes. Oh, that's what eyes are for. Oh, I thought eyes are for seeing. And I was like, okay, that won't cut it. And you can't say to her, oh, you're crazy. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, what are you talking about? You can't say things like that, because that's not how women are. You have to respect her. To me, you could say it, and I could say it to you, and we're best friends. But you can't say it. They need a different level. And if she's not behaving, if she's not treating you well, it's because of you. It's your fault. And that's not a joke. It's your fault. It means find out where you're not respecting your wife enough. Either you're a cheapskate, or you don't talk to her properly, you don't give her time, you cut her off in mid-sentence, you interrupt. I was once given a talk to some guys, married guys. I said, when you're married, you have to respect your wife. And one of the first forms of respect is that you don't interrupt somebody when they're talking. I said, it's not hard. If you hear her voice, don't talk. So a guy comes over to me afterwards. He's married about 3 months. He looks like he's been gone 15 rounds with Mike Tyson. He walks over and goes, when my wife gets going, she could really go on for a while. So I started laughing. I said, well, that's just too bad. That's just too bad, because you gave her a ksuba. And therefore you are going to listen like a little tatala. And you're not going to interrupt, number one. Number two, you could also go on for a while, which most men do. And when men start talking, they expect their wives to just like, oh, he's so wise. Because he knows what the weather is going to be tomorrow. Right? They just enchanted. We're not as enchanting as we think. That's first of all. Second of all, so I had another guy. I like asking guys after they're married, after a few months. I like to say, what have you learned in your first few months of marriage? I call it an obedience training school. So I said to one guy, what have you learned in your first few months of marriage? So this guy gives me kind of a dazed look. He goes, oh, don't make any independent plans. Then I had another guy who said to me, I'm quoting him, I said to him, Kenny, what have you learned in your first couple months? He says, I think women are missing the chromosome that makes for effective communication. I said, why? He goes, I was taking a shower, and I said to my wife, we need shampoo, we're out of shampoo. So she's standing by the door, and she says to me, we don't have shampoo because last time we went shopping, we didn't make a list. We have to start making a list. So I'm in there in a shower trying to get I'm trying to get soap and shampoo, and she's giving me a musser schmooze about lists. Well, he said, that's all part of the fun, boys. That's the Ezer Kenegda. 1 second. Now, take a look at Pasuk Chav Beis. This is for all the feminists who claim that we're anti-women. On page 14. Vayiven Hashem es hatzela asher lokach mina adam. God built the Selah. How does he translate the Selah? The side. Because there are different opinions. Was it a rib? Let's say it was a rib. Somebody once said, when you split the atom, it releases energy, right? Somebody once said, yeah, the first atom got split and it released an energy which no man has ever figured out how to control, which is the woman. So the Torah, it says, Vayiven Hashem Elokim es hatzela. God built the rib, we translate as the rib. And that word Vayiven, the word Vayiven, he built. The Gemara says that's connected to the Hebrew word Bina. Bina means wisdom. What they call, and the Gemara says, a woman has a Bina Yesera. Feminists never protest against that. The woman has a Bina Yesera, and that Bina Yesera is what we often call intuition, woman's intuition. And I can tell you from personal experience, from my mother, my wife, and I can tell you, if they have it, we don't understand how it works. I don't think they understand how it works, but you're foolish to go against it. And if your wife says, but I think we should do it this way, do it that way. Because A, she's probably going to be right, and B, if she's wrong, better she should be wrong than you should be wrong. And just do it. And they have an incredible sense about things. You, the husband, they know you better than you know yourself. They can read you. Guy says to his friend, hey, did you ever see one of those machines that could tell if you're lying? He says, see one? Heck, I married one. And they read you like a book. They read you like a book. And they've got an intuition. And the intuition is something called a Bina Yesera, which means that they're somehow sensing a situation and they can't explain logically. And by the way, this is one of the reasons that women don't learn Gemara. Because they don't need, Paul McCartney. Tell me you haven't heard of Paul McCartney. With you guys, anything could be. So I give you zero credit. You didn't know who the premier of China was. Neither did I. Let's face it, Paul McCartney contributed more to mankind. So Paul McCartney could not read music. Do you know that? He cannot read music because he didn't play his music by reading. How do you like that? Not only that, apparently, according to the legend, he woke up in the morning and started humming "Here Comes the Sun." And he said to the other Beatles, he said, did I ever play this for you? They said, no. Apparently he dreamt "Here Comes the Sun." I don't know if it's true or not, but he can't read music, I understand. Because if Paul McCartney would read music, his music wouldn't be as good. Because he's doing everything by instinct. He was just doing it all by instinct. That's why it came out so good. If you would force him into they used to talk about in baseball, a guy's in a slump. A guy's in a slump. And they used to say because he's thinking too much at the plate. You're thinking about it too much. Just go up there and don't think. Just do what you do naturally in thinking. Because often if you take it apart, it doesn't come out as well. It doesn't. If you play basketball, try to do a layup. And think about your step and a half while you're doing the layup. You'll either travel or trip. Don't think about it. A woman is made, she senses what's right. She has an intuition about what's right or wrong. She has an intuition about what the result is without knowing how you get there. A man, because of who we are, we build up the structure, and then it's a kasha and a teretz and a tosfos and a thing till we finally get there. And without that, we don't understand it, and we're not satisfied with it. And a woman is already there without going through the process, so what do you need the process for? You're not going to make it better. Teaching Paul McCartney how to read music, Teaching Paul McCartney how to read music will not make his music better. And that's what the Bina Yisera is. And that's what the Torah says about women. It does not say it about men, it says about women. And there's certainly nothing insulting about that. It's certainly a compliment that they have a level of understanding that men do not have. One more point. If you take a look at Per Gimel Pasuk Aleph, starts with the snake. The serpent was more widely than all the other creatures. Vayomer Elaisha says to the woman, says the woman, isn't it true Hashem said not to eat from any of the trees? She goes, no, he said only the tree of, the tree of, what do you call it? Eitz Hadas. So he says to her, no, you're not going to die. And there's a whole discussion over here exactly what happened. Adam Harishon had told her, Adam was told we can't eat the fruit. But in order to create a safeguard, he told Chava we can't eat the fruit, we can't even touch the tree. So the snake pushed her into the tree, said you didn't die when you touched the tree, so you're not going to die from eating the fruit. And then we learned from there, don't add on to the things. Don't add on. Adam added on and that created trouble. Okay. At the end of the day, what was the argument of the snake with Chava? Who is this snake? The talking snake, okay, it's a serpent, it's the Yetzer Hara. But what's really going on here in the story? Eat the fruit, don't eat the fruit, you'll die, you won't die, what's going on? So, one of the explanations, Rav Hirsch, the explanation that I think is there are different approaches here by the commentators, many different approaches. I think that the approach which really relates, which really speaks to us, no pun intended, which speaks to us the most here, or it applies to us the most, is the following. Up until man, you got all sorts of animals that were created. Then man is created. And all of a sudden, man is the first one who's given a rule. You could eat anything you want except that. Except that. Now, what am I? Am I simply a two-legged animal? And in the animal world, if something looks good, smells good, and tastes good, you indulge. I told you there has never been a lion in history who has chased down a zebra and all of a sudden exercised restraint. I really shouldn't do this because I'm behaving like an animal. Right? No lion is worried about the midos of ripping apart a zebra. No leopard chasing down a deer has thought to himself, I'll be fleshix for 6 hours if I eat this. Who does that? Only Jews. No, I don't want to eat the steak. I don't want to eat the steak and French fries because sometime in the next 6 hours I'm going to want that much milk in my coffee. So I don't want to become fleshix. You ever hear people say, I don't want to become fleshix? Don't worry, it's not a conversion. You'll be okay. You'll get out of it. You'll make it. So all of a sudden now Chava comes along. Now she's told, hey, there's a rule. Rule? What do you mean a rule? It looks good, smells good, and tastes good. Why shouldn't I indulge? The snake represents the animal in man. The snake is saying to Chava, you're just a two-legged animal, that's all you are. What do you mean? It's a perfectly good fruit. Why wouldn't you want to indulge? And Chava, the human being, says, no, but we have rules called morality. We have a set of rules by which to live life. What are you talking about? What kind of rules? That's the argument that's going on back and forth until the snake eventually convinces her, all you are, and he gets her to indulge. Once she indulges, then she gives her husband to take him with. That's what happened. But the snake represents the battle we go through a dozen times every day, if not more. I should or I shouldn't. I should or I shouldn't. That's what the snake is. It's the animal. I once said, the Nike slogan, which they must have made billions on. That Nike slogan, right? Just do it. Probably the most famous slogan in history. The only other one, I think they claim the most famous slogan in history is "Diamonds are forever." That slogan was made up, and diamonds are forever. That's how they got all these women to make sure that their husbands gave them a diamond for their anniversary. By using that slogan, diamonds are forever. The other one was the Uncola. 7-Up came up with the commercial, with the slogan, 7-Up is the Uncola. That was a very catchy slogan. But one of them is just do it. What is just do it? And by the way, you ever see the Nike swoosh? That swoosh with any imagination doesn't look like a little bit like a snake? Just do it. That's a little bit of imagination. Give me a little credit, right? That's a Nike swoosh. Just do it. That's the temptation. That's the ultimate temptation. Just do it. Don't think about the consequences. Don't think about whether you should or should. Just do it. That's the attitude. That's exactly what the Nachash attitude is. And that's what the Torah is telling you. No, we don't do that. All right. Tomorrow we'll start Parshas Noach, and then on Wednesday, no shir, and then on Thursday we'll have shir on